Good afternoon, folks. I hope you're all doing great. I'm doing well myself. I'm happy to be on this webinar, and I appreciate and I thank each and every one of you for attending, and I'm hoping that this will be a great 1 hour spent with me on your behalf and making sure that I present to you the most valuable content that I can during this 1 hour. So I do want to let you know that if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to post them in the Q&A box or in the chat. I do want to ask to see if you can all hear me and see my screen clearly and I sound clear. Let me know, please, in the chat box. I've got a pretty good crowd here, almost a full house, so I want to make sure that everybody can hear and see me. All right, I'm getting a lot of yeses. Awesome. All right, so we got a lot of yeses. That's a good thing. Now, I am going to go through the Q&As till the end, so we want to make sure that whoever has any questions to feel free to post the questions there, and I will be getting to them at the end of the webinar. And also I have an offer for you at the end, so hang in there with me till the end, and if you do stay till the end, I am actually recording this webinar, and I will send it to whoever lasts all the way to the end with me. So I'll definitely make sure that I present some great information for you today. Take some notes, be ready. We're going to get this done here. So let's go ahead and move forward. We're going to go, of course, a webinar is not a good organized webinar unless there's an agenda. Part of the agenda I'll be speaking to you about is who is Ray Warda? That's me. Who am I? What's my background? Many of you may have heard of me, known me, seen me speak at different events, conferences, and workshops that I've held across the country, and just know me from the real estate industry. I've been around for a while. I'm going to talk to you about my personal opinion and forecast and give you a professional opinion on of where the market's heading. Some real estate industry trends that you want to be on the lookout for. And then also we're going to start the overview of the HUD contracts and terminology. I'm going to give you a whole understanding of all the acronyms that are important right now in this phase, so that way you're aware of them. Also the areas that are affected in this whole upcoming massive change that's happening. And you want to make sure that you're ready for these by having a good solid proposal and package and resume to go, because things happen quickly and you don't want to wait till the last minute. That's why we're starting these webinars now, and I'm discussing all this information with you now so you're ready. Now, some of the things that we're going to talk about are HUD Advertising Guidelines, because these are important when you're putting your package together. You want to make sure that you understand what these guidelines are so that you incorporate them into your package. We're going to discuss HUD's primary objectives for its AMs, and then items that AMs are concerned with their listing agents. So these go hand in hand. HUD has primary objectives for its AMs, which it scores its asset managers, and then asset managers have things that they are concerned with and have their own objectives to their listing agents. These are very synonymous with one another. The HUD's objectives and AM's objectives, they really go hand in hand. So we're going to see how they come into play, and you're going to need to know some of this content so that way you can incorporate it into your proposal. So let's get started. Who's Ray Warda? That's me. That's my beautiful face. As you can see, I began my real estate career in the year 2001. I actually started a little before that, but officially launched it in 2001. And as well as many of you may well remember, we'll never forget what happened in 2001. That was 9/11, the unfortunate thing that happened. Right before that is 2 months before that is when I got my bachelor's degree in computer science. But I couldn't find a job in technology, whether my life depended on it, because you know what happened in 9/11. Technology took a dump after that. So I had to transition into a different business, and because I had dealt with real estate prior to this and knew that that was kind of something that I had love for, I decided to get my career and switch it to real estate. And I think that was the best thing that I ever did, because I found my passion. My passion is real estate, entrepreneurship, and eventually got me into investing. I started my career as a lender with the infamous Countrywide Home Loans. I'm sure you all remember that. Then I went, after that, became an investor in addition to my lending career. And till this day, I'm an actual active investor, and I love that side of the business because I know that that side of the business is the lucrative side, the one that really is the one that creates wealth in anybody's livelihoods. As far as in this country, we know that wealth is built upon real estate. So really, that is something that every agent should be considering as becoming investors as well. Later, I became a licensed California broker in 2007. Until this day, I'm a broker. I had my own company. Back then, I had my own company as a sales and lending company. I now have my own company again. Started a few years ago, but transitioned full-time to my company just recently, about a year ago. So it's exciting times. I love what I do. You know, as a licensed California broker, yes, it was some great years, but we know all know what happened in 2008, 2009 when the whole market, we had a major debacle in the market. That's when I transitioned to my AM career, my asset management career. And my asset management career, I started it with a company called Condor Capital. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. If you have, just shout out in the chat. I'd love to see that. It was an interesting company. That was my career that started. I actually was the asset manager there, and how they worked was they were a note investor. They bought notes from the major players like B of A, Chase, Wells Fargo, Fannie and Freddie, and all those in Countrywide back then. And then we used to bid on these big portfolios of notes based on the evaluation that we would give them. And if we won that bid, we would handle those assets to manage them and assign them to agents and stuff like that. So that's where I started my AM career. But it was short-lived there because I got recruited by a great opportunity with HUD Asset Manager, which is currently still a HUD Asset Manager in 6 Western states and 8 East Coast states, 14 total, BLB Resources, where I was the Outreach and Marketing Director. And there I took my speaking career, which I always had, but I took it to a different level. That's when it transitioned me to a professional speaker at the same time, where I trained over 10,000 real estate agents, reviewed over 5,000 proposals, set up HUD LLB network in 16 different states, consisting of over 700 agents through 3 HUD AM contracts. Okay, so that was my forte. That's what I did when I was in asset management with BLB Resources. I am no longer an employee with BLB Resources, but I do consulting for them. They are one of my clients that I consult for, and that's what led me in 2016 to go full-time in my company because I had many different facets of my company. I believe in diversification. Everything that I do, although it's diversified, it's all within the real estate industry. So I am a HUD REO consultant, and that's my consulting side of the business where I consult asset management companies in addition to agents and brokers just like you. In addition, I'm a real estate coach and a marketing consultant because marketing is where I grew my forte because I always had an upper edge on marketing, especially when it involved technology because I was very technology oriented. So that is something that I have definitely passion for, but I align it with my main passion, which is real estate and entrepreneurship. So at the end of the day, I'm a serial entrepreneur and continuous learner. For many people that know me, when I speak at events, I always like to incorporate personal development because I believe that every person in the real estate industry, if they're not getting paid hourly and they're getting paid when they close a deal, they own a company. They are an entrepreneur, and it's important to act like an entrepreneur and act like a legitimate business. Okay. On the personal side, I am a family man. I love to travel, and I love to have a cigar every once in a while. I have a certain way of thinking, and that's my belief. The belief that I have has a chain of command. My first most important thing is God. Second is family. Third and everyone is everything else and everyone else. So that's how I live my life. That's in a nutshell, my personal life and my business life right there for you. So that way you know what my background is like. This right here is all my contact information. My direct line, this is my company line. This is my direct line to me in my company. Ray on the Web is my professional profile online where I have all my websites, all my social networks that I'm involved with, where you can connect with me. RayWarda.com is my blog, my personal blog, and that's my email, ray@raywarda.com. Feel free to reach out to me, contact me, call me, email me. If you need any help or questions with anything, I am accessible. Unless I'm traveling, going to conferences, speaking at these conferences, I may have a delay in replying to you, but I do reply to all my connections. So, what's my personal opinion and forecast? Well, I'll tell you. Currently, in the state of mind that we're in, the state of business mind that we're in, REOs, we're lacking inventory in REOs. We know that. But we are at the point, we're in this equilibrium dip in the real estate cycle that is going to see a shift in the REO market. Okay. However, I do want to warn you, the shift that we're going to see is not going to be like the wave we had in 2008, 2009. The inventory level of that time was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, really. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard of history being like that bad as it was in 2008, 2009, besides the Great Depression back in the early 1900s. But besides that, really, REOs have always been there in the early 80s, 70s, back then. I mean, REOs were always there. It's just that they were really put on the map in 2008, 2009. That's when everybody knew about it. So my point is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your business, okay? Make REOs as a supplemental income, all right? So what you're going to do is to make sure that you know the new face of REO. The new face of REO is different than it was in 2008, 2009. It's not going to be, at least in my opinion, it's not going to be the major players like it was. You know, back then it was Countrywide, Chase and B of A and Freddie and Fannie and all them. Well, we're going to see a little bit of those. But I think the face of REOs is really going to be the smaller banks, the credit unions, the hedge funds, those type of clients. And those are the ones that you have to start creating more relationship with, the smaller servicers. Those are the ones that you're going to have to create more relationship and tight-knit those relationships beginning now, okay? So that's my point of view on what's happening in the REO industry and where we're going to see a shift. But besides that, HUD is the biggest shift that we're going to see because of all the changes in all the states that we're going to see, which I'm going to be discussing. Some real estate trends, industry trends that I see happening, get on video, live video especially. That's one thing. I know it's been actually a trend happening in the past year, but it's going to continue to go stronger. So you need to make sure that you embrace these changes, not react to them, and not kind of avoid them, because you're really going to do a disservice to your company if you do. Facebook put live video on a map. Although live video was there before Facebook started it. For example, YouTube had live video. But Facebook, being the conglomerate, the big, huge face of social media, they made it easy and accessible for everyone to be on live video. So everyone can have the chance to do it. Well, you really need to go that route with your business. Show your personality. Be on live video. Get out there. Don't be afraid of the camera. You're just another human being just like everybody else. Every one of us has different gifts. Utilize them. Another thing I see is pay to play on social media. You must pay to play now. It's no longer the days where you used to have a Facebook business page and you posted something on it and all of your 5,000 followers would see it. It doesn't work like that. The algorithms have changed for Facebook, and that's mainly the result of Facebook going public, going from a private company to a public company. Of course, when that transition happens, there's now shareholders. Shareholders have expectations of revenues, and revenues have the result of how they're going to create revenue. And the result is by advertising. Facebook has such a robust targeting on their Facebook ads that is wonderful. And I urge each and every one of you to give it a whirl, to try it. And you won't know unless it works for you, unless you try. You have to play around with it, see what works. But once you find that system, that target, boom, you just put more money as you're going into that. and you'll see definite results. But Facebook is the face of this. Everybody else is all kind of secondary to Facebook, but everybody's going that route. Third one you want to look out for is auctions. I know we don't like auctions as real estate agents and brokers. We think they're taking business from us. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people taking business from us. A lot of companies, a lot of technology. We see this every single day. Look at Zillow. Look at all these concepts that are coming out. The technology online. Every one of them wants a piece of the pie. Well, instead of being reacting to these, we need to be proactive. Create relationships with these auction companies. Figure out how you can work with them. Be a resource to them. And you'll see business come eventually. But you have to get in the game, and instead of reacting to what you're seeing the market go, be proactive. Be proactive in where the market's heading to. Okay? I always say spend time on learning about marketing. I know technology has put a major divider in the middle of this real estate industry in the real estate world we live in, because it is now so technologically advanced, especially with millennials in the market, that you really need to be involved in technology to be able to surpass this wave or this time of where this industry is heading to. And that's why I say, you know, they say the 80-20 rule, 80% of the business comes from 20% of the agents. Now, in my opinion, I think it's a 90-10 rule. 90% of business comes from 10% of the agents, because technology has just set that apart from us. There's a lot of people don't want to embrace technology. So I urge you to spend more time on learning about marketing, about technology, and how it's used in our business. And then, of course, last but not least, network and be social. Get out there back in the conferences. Get to know what REOs, relationships, where you can create these relationships. And remember, when you're going to these conferences, it's not just about the REO asset managers that you're trying to create relationships with, but you're trying to also create relationships with other agents. It's important to create relationship with other agents, because that agent can give you so much knowledge that you may not have known, or can introduce you to an REO manager of theirs in their area where they may have assets in your area. So it's always something, or it's vice versa. You can do the same thing for them. So it's all about networking and being social. After all, real estate is a relationship building business, and you really have to get in the game. Okay. So let's talk about the overview of the HUD contracts and terminology. HUD, as you may be aware, loves using acronyms and all these numbers and 3.75 and 3.9. What in the world do these mean? What is all this thing? Well, let's start with M&M. What's an M&M? That acronym, it doesn't stand for these that candy that you see, not in HUD's terms, of course. HUD's M&M is called the Marketing and Management. Okay, this is a program that HUD's put together to disposition their assets, their HUD REOs. Okay, they have what's called M&M contractors, which are the asset management companies that bid for these contracts, so that way they can be the ones that are in charge of hiring the listing agents, putting them all together, getting these properties listed and sold. Okay, M&M started with M&M 1 and M&M 2 back in the days. M&M 3, which is the current series of M&Ms that we're in, started in late 2009, early 2010. Okay, that's really what put HUD Homes on the map. Prior to that, the M&M 1 and 2, listing agents could care less if they were a listing agent, because HUD only paid $125 flat fee, or $175 if I'm not mistaken. It's either $125 or $175, but it was a flat fee that they paid the listing agent, and they paid the selling agent up to 5%. Well, back then it was so difficult to work with HUD. I mean, everything was like on point. You had to have your dots I'd, your T's crossed. Otherwise, when you go to the court step to submit your offer or your bid, if one dot was not I'd or T wasn't crossed, they'd reject the bid altogether. So that's how tough it was. And people really didn't want to work with HUD in that system. Well, when HUD got the 3.0 contract out there with HUDHomestore.com, it just made it more accessible, and the commission changed where listing agents got 3%, which I think is a very, very lucrative contract. Even if the lack of inventory is there, it's still a good contract compared to your other REOs where you have to do so much more with rehab work and all that crap, all that utility, putting them in your names, all that stuff. You don't have to do anything like that on a HUD home. Okay, so it's a lot different, and it's a lot more, it's easier. It is a heavy task-oriented account, I'll tell you that. It's not easy in those terms. And everything else, it's great. So there you have it on the M&M. Now, HOC, or HOC, this is pronounced HOC, stands for Homeownership Center. Homeownership Center is, HUD has 4 of them throughout the country. Each of these homeownership centers covers a certain amount of states in each region. For example, the one in the West Coast region is the Santa Ana Homeownership Center, which is located in Orange County, California. That's where I live, in Orange County in Irvine, California. That's where my company is as well. Now, the other one is the Denver HOC, which is in Denver, Colorado. Then there's the Philly HOC in Pennsylvania. And then there's the Atlanta HOC in Georgia. Each one of these HOCs, like I mentioned, covers a certain amount of states. All these states, they have to report to this HOC, particular HOC, regarding any housing or anything related to FHA and HUD. Okay, so each contractor is also assigned to a HOC that they are reporting to. Okay, that HOC is the one, that particular HOC is the one that scores them on their scorecards. Okay, and I'm gonna show you exactly what these HOCs are. Then there's the types of contracts. There's 2 major ones that you want to be knowledgeable about in regards to you on the agent side: the FSM and the AM. FSM stands for Field Service Manager. AM stands for, of course, Asset Manager. Both of these companies are different companies that are privately held. Each does their own certain tasks. Each does their own thing. For example, the FSM, it takes care of all the property preservation of a HUD home. So anything with dealing with maintaining the property, field preservation, mowing the lawns, shoveling the snow, rekeying the homes, all that stuff is all done by the Field Service Manager. Okay, the Asset Manager, on the other hand, is the one that handles the marketing and management of the property. So every property that gets assigned to the Asset Manager, first thing that the Asset Manager does is assign it to a listing agent and order appraisal. Those two come hand in hand. The listing agent is the one that does the inspections, and they're required to do these inspections and submit them into HUD. And then the appraiser is the one that appraises the property to establish a list price. Okay, those are the responsibilities of the FSM and the AM. Now, the contracts types, or the length of these contracts, the M&M 3.75 and the 3.9, which are the new upcoming contracts where we're going to see a lot of these changes happen with asset management companies. These contracts for HUD, between HUD and the asset manager, are typically, and I quote typically, 5 years. Some contracts that come out are shorter. They're short-term, they're transition contracts, or they're called emergency contracts. Whatever you call them, they're usually less than 5 years. And the perfect example is the 3.75. The 3.75 contract is a short-term contract. The 3.9 contract is a full contract, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So these contracts are set aside for small business. So meaning not you as the agent. I'm talking about any asset management company that is bidding on the HUD contract, on the actual contract to become the asset manager, must be a small business. Small business means, in HUD's terms, a business that does 7.5 million on average revenue a year within the past 3 years. Okay, that is considered a small business. Now, teams and JVs, joint ventures, are considered in these contracts. So that means a small business can team up with a joint venture type of thing with a large business. Okay, and the only thing is that joint venture agreement, or whatever that company, whoever that company is, they will not be labeled as the AM, because they're not. It's the small business that's going to be the AM. The subcontractor or the JV is going to act like a subcontractor. They're going to only take responsibility for a portion of the tasks. Okay, that's how these are considered, or you know, they can be considered as JVs. So, and you've seen this with, like, for example, previously, Sage Acquisition, their joint venture or team up was with PEMCO. So it's similar to this. These contracts can kind of do the same thing, okay? Now, let's look at the maps, and I'm going to discuss with you the details about the whole 3.75 and the 3.9 contracts. Okay, first I'm going to talk about the 3.75. Both these 3.75 and 3.9 are both active right now. Okay, we're going to see changes really soon on these two contracts. And these two contracts, believe it or not, cover about 65% of the country. There's a lot of states involved. So I'm going to first start to show you the 3.75 map. Here's the 3.75 map. The areas affected are the following, or the states, I should say. If you belong in one of these states, you will see asset managers change soon. States of Georgia, Colorado, New Mexico, North Texas, Utah, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia. If you belong in any of those states or any state that you see color-coded on your map there, you will have asset management changes. Now, with this contract and the 3.9 contract, each state is going to have one AM, one asset manager awardee, okay? So, one thing you want to understand, the 3.75 contract is technically going to be a 2-year and 8-month contract, okay? Meaning, believe it or not, HUD, their current solicitation that's out, which has bids by the asset management companies due by no later than September 20th, okay, that's the deadline. So any asset manager that has interest in becoming an asset manager for HUD has to submit their proposals by the deadline of September 20th. HUD is saying that this new contract, 3.75, will begin October 1st. First period will be an 8-month base period between October 1st and May 31st of 2018. Now, you want to understand that all HUD contracts end always on May 31st. Okay, the annual contracts end on May 31st. These are typically 5-year contracts which have a 12-month base period and then 4 12-month option periods. The 3.75, the difference with that is because it's a transition contract, meaning that either HUD took the contract away from the current AM or the AM just waved the red flag or the white flag and said, I'm done, we're not going to do this anymore, which I'm not going to get into detail why this happened because I do consult for asset management companies and I don't want to say anything negative in regards to anybody or give that type of information. That's not what this webinar is about. This webinar is about information about what's going on. So this particular contract was cut short, so therefore 3.75 is going to pick up where the other contract left off. So that's why it's going to have an 8-month base period with 2 12-month option periods. Okay, so it's only going to be a 2-year and 8-month contract, but I shouldn't say only. That's great opportunity for you to build up your HUD business so that way you can continue that relationship with whoever comes along after that. So it's really just about getting your foot in the door. Okay, so when they're saying October 1st, I don't think it's going to happen that quick because after the bids deadline is up, usually it takes about 30 days for HUD to announce an award, sometimes a little longer. So when they're saying it's going to start October 1st, I highly doubt it. I mean, I know this administration is a lot different than previous presidential administrations. It's moving a lot quicker than previous ones, but I still think that we're going to have some, more time than it's starting October 1st because the asset manager, once they get awarded, there's what's called protest periods that happen. Then they have to announce their application portal is open. They're going to accept proposals, and they have to set up their listing agent network. So it happens fast, but it's not a quick process, if you understand what I'm saying. Okay, that's the 3.75 contract. Now, let's look at the map for the 3.9 contract. As you can see, it includes the 3.75, and this is all of the states combined, 3.75 and 3.9. This is 3.75. This is all of them. So as you can see, it's really about 2/3 of the country. Okay. So here are the states that are affected with the 3.9 contract, which is also a current pre-solicitation as well. This one does not have a deadline, unlike 3.75 actually has an application as a proposal deadline of September 20th for asset management companies. This one, the 3.9, doesn't. And that's because 3.9 is at its maturity date. So it's actually going to end its current 5-year contract on May 31st of next year. So HUD is going to be, usually it starts about 6 or 7 months prior to ending because they need to get the notice out, solicitations have to be out there, proposals have to come in and reviewed and then awarded. So all this I know is going to happen sometime within the next 2-3 months. We're going to see some announcements of awards. Okay. Now, if you belong in any of the following states for the 3.9 contract, you also will have asset management changes. So you need to be aware of them and you need to be ready. And here are the states for that area: Arizona, California, Hawaii, Guam, Nevada, Idaho, Alaska, Washington, Oregon, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, Minnesota, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, and Vermont. If you belong in any of those states, you also will see changes. Now, the difference between this contract, the 3.9, and the 3.75, like I mentioned, is the amount of years this contract is good for. This one is a 5-year contract with a 12-month base period and continuing with another 4 12-month option periods. Okay. Again, same thing with the 3.75. There'll be one asset manager per state. The only state that you'll see maybe a possibility of 2 different asset managers is the state of Texas, because state of Texas is broken up into South Texas and North Texas. It's in one homeownership center, which belongs to the Denver Hawk, but it's broken up into 2 states, broken up in half technically. Okay, this one, like I said, we don't have an actual bid deadline date yet on this, the 3.9, but it's absolutely coming up for change. Now, the only thing that I do want to make you aware of is there's 3 states that you see on your screen that have question marks. These states are up in the air because they were originally part of the 3.75 and the 3.9 contracts, but for some reason or another, they were removed. Okay, so we don't know what the reason is that they were removed, but it's a possibility that they may come back. So we don't know yet. That's why we kind of left them in limbo. They're still on the map, and we'll just have to see how things go with those particular states. Let's move on. So what's next? What in the world do you do next? Well, this is where you have to learn about how you're going to put your marketing proposal and your package together. It starts off with marketing. That's a big keyword in marketing proposal. You need to know what are the guidelines for HUD when it comes to marketing HUD homes. Believe it or not, I've trained thousands of agents and traveled across the country in different states and found out that 75 to 80% of agents out there do not know that each and every one of you can advertise any HUD listing without the permission of the listing agent. This is phenomenal. There is no other home on the market, period, whether it's another REO or traditional real estate, that you can market that home without the listing agent's permission. No other home offers that. And if there is, I'd like to know about it because we'd like to share that material. But HUD homes are an open market. Any agent, as long as your brokerage has a NAID registration, can market any HUD listing. Of course, you have to follow these guidelines. You want to make sure that you use clean phrases like, for example, you want to refer to HUD homes as HUD homes, HUD acquired, HUD owned, or HUD REO. All those are good, safe terms to use them. You just don't want any negative connotation to them. You must add the equal housing opportunity logo. This is the logo that you see on your screen. This logo has to be on every piece of advertisement that you do, whether it's online or offline, whether it's on your website or on print. That equal housing opportunity must be there. You must adhere to all regulations or agencies such as local, federal, real estate commission, MLS boards, advertising regulations, Truth in Lending Act, all those you must adhere to. You want to make sure that there's price consistency, meaning that you want to make sure that the home you're advertising for HUD has the same exact price as the one that's located on HUDHomestore.com, because HUD homes do go through price changes at certain times, and you need to make sure it's a part of your task list that you check the home price and to see, one, if it's still available, two, what the actual price is. It's really important. Some marketing don'ts that I want to go over. Do not use the HUD seal. This is not allowed. This seal is a registered trademark by HUD, and only HUD and its authorized users can use it. Some agents do use it on their website because they think that it's going to create authority for them because it says U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Well, although it may, but it's not allowed. It's against advertising guidelines for HUD. So don't do it. Instead, use the Equal Housing Opportunity logo. That's the required one. Some other don'ts that you don't want to do not refer to HUD homes in a negative connotation, meaning don't call them HUD foreclosures or HUD repos or HUD repossessed or must sell. That's not allowed, okay? This particular one is not a advertising guideline for HUD. This is my throw-in, my pet peeve that I just threw in there, and that's do not let your voicemail boxes become full. That's my biggest pet peeve when I was reviewing applications throughout my decade of putting together these listing agent broker networks and just calling brokers in general. When I get a voicemail, it really bugs me. That's a voicemail that's full. Now, I don't mind a voicemail because we all, sometimes we're busy, we got clients, whatever the case may be. But when your voicemail boxes are full, that's a huge turnoff for me because I know that there's something wrong there. You're not keeping up with your business. You're either too busy or you're just not in the game, one or the other. Or there's an emergency happened that you just can't get to your voicemails. That could also be the possibility, but you don't want to ever leave your voicemail boxes full. My pet peeve. Back to guidelines. Do not advertise HUD homes as coming soon. HUD does not allow that. So if the HUD home is not listed active on HUDHomestore.com, you cannot market that HUD home. So make sure you understand that. No coming soon, like you would on your traditional or other REO business. You don't want to ever portray yourself as the listing agent unless you are the listing agent. So don't ever say you're the listing agent or claim that you're the listing agent when you're marketing HUD homes unless you actually are. Please don't do that, okay? So you can advertise HUD homes anywhere you like on your screen that you see and more. As long as you follow the guidelines that HUD has, which I mentioned, then you're going to be safe in marketing HUD homes. And I urge you to market them. I urge you and use the marketing as your snippets that you would put in your proposal. Make some nice snippets of your marketing that you're doing, whether it's online or offline, or your website, because you need to showcase that on your proposal. It's important. It's an important part of your proposal. Especially the states, it shocks me because there are new agents that say, I don't have any business and I don't have ways of marketing because I don't have any listings. Well, you know what? You have HUD homes. Anywhere in the country, you can advertise as long as you're in that state that's licensed in that state. You can advertise any of the HUD listings. Just put them on your website. Put them on your social media sites. Get activity of buyer leads. After all, you don't have to sell them that exact HUD home. That is a buyer lead that's going to come to you where you can put them in anything you want or hand the lead off to your buyer agents, to your team members. This is a great way of generating leads. Okay, so let's take a look at HUD's 5 primary objectives for its asset managers. And like I said, this is important because you need to incorporate some of this content into your proposal and shape it in a form that you're discussing things that concern HUD regarding its AMs. These are things that HUD scores their AMs on, okay? And you'll notice that the stuff that I'm going to mention that AMs score their listing agents are very synonymous with one another with this right here, with HUD's 5 primary objectives. Because HUD is scoring the AM is scoring the listing agent. Number 1, accurate values. HUD's primary objective is accurate values. That means that the AMs need to make sure that the properties are accurately and competitively valued, meaning that they have to get localized appraisers to appraise these properties to get the correct value. They need to get quality BPOs from the agents to establish their opinion of value. Okay, we know that the ones that work with HUD, that most of the listings are priced at the appraised value, but not all of them. So accuracy is key. Okay, number 2 is highest net return. This is really the most bottom line dollar amount that HUD looks at, is the net return on that listing. They want to make sure that sales achieve the highest net return. Bottom line, it's all about the money. Number 3 is the holding time. Minimize holding time. They want to minimize the time that the property is in their inventory. And this is very similar to what AMs expect as well. So days on market are important. Time and inventory is important. That's why the HUD AMs, they have strict timelines of inspections that the listing agents need to do. Because guess what? HUD scores the AMs on how quick or the certain amount of days that they're allowed to go during the listing process, or going from inventory to active, to sale, to escrow, to closing. All of that is all, there's time requirements. And holding time is important for HUD because it carries on to costs. For example, the asset manager doesn't get paid until the property closes, right? However, the field service manager gets paid on a monthly basis. They're the ones that have that asset from A to Z until it closes. They're the property preservation company. So they get paid monthly. So to the field service manager, the longer it stays in HUD's inventory, the more money that the FSM is going to be billing on that particular one property. So holding time definitely matters. Another objective is owner-occupant opportunities. HUD is big on that because after all, their mission statement is that in order to create stability in a neighborhood, they need to create home ownership opportunities. So the more you show on your resume and on your proposal about owner-occupant, marketing, first-time home buyer marketing, it makes your proposal look better. So make sure that you incorporate that in addition to incorporating about aged assets. Aged assets are one of the big things. And that's going to be one of the part that I discuss regarding the asset management objectives for its listing agents. Number 5, closing proceeds. This really doesn't have much to do with the listing agent in general. It's really more about the asset manager to HUD. They want to make sure, HUD wants to make sure that closing proceeds are properly accounted for and delivered to HUD in a timely manner. That's AM's responsibility to HUD. So now let's look at the 6 items that AMs are concerned with when it comes to their listing agents. Number 1, the familiar days on market. They all want to reduce their inventory of REOs and sell them quickly. Very similar to the days on market thing, or time on market, or holding time for HUD. Okay, and that's really where your aged assets come to play. You really have to have a good strategy on your proposal about aged assets, because those are really troublesome assets for the asset manager. Because now with HUD, we see a lot of times when a property is not being sold within 90 days, HUD has the right to take it off the market from the listing agent, change the listing agent, or they're going to request that this home go to auction or a different way of dispositioning the property. And then you make less money on that. So all that time you put into marketing and money, if you're not doing it effectively, it could be a stale asset that eventually goes to auction and you get paid less. So you don't want to ever get to that point. The second asset manager, what they look for factors are pricing strategy. They all want to know the real situation with the market, and they're relying on you to show them. They evaluate the quality of the BPOs that you submit primarily on their timeliness and accuracy. Accuracy meaning that the adjustments that you make, the bracketing that you do, the descriptions of the reasoning why needs to be thorough. Okay. Number 3 is net proceeds, very similar to what HUD's objective was. They all want to minimize their losses with these transactions, and you as the agent will need to show them how you will save them time and money. Bottom line, net proceeds. Number 4, marketing and advertising. This is a huge one. They all want to hear specifics from the agent about how they will market or how you will market the property. Don't be general. Don't just say on your proposal, I'm going to market your properties by offline and online marketing. Well, whoop-de-doo, that everybody else can do the same thing on that. You want to be very specific by naming what arenas that you're going to be able to market these HUD homes in. If it's online, tell me what you're going to do online. If it's offline, tell me how you're going to do it offline. But be thorough and offer or have snippets and images. This is where you need a lot of images and stuff, okay? Number 5 is your experience and qualifications. Whether your company is small or large, or I always say, or any in between in size, whatever it is, or if it's a national franchise or a local independent brokerage, you and your company have something to offer. You and your company have qualifications in terms of how you will assist the AMs in solving their problems. You have to be a problem solver, not an excuse teller. Anybody can hear excuses, and it gets old. I've heard every excuse in the world that I can from listing agents and agents across. Be the agent that is offering solutions, not excuses. And that leads me to being a resource, okay? You need to demonstrate how and what you'll do to decrease the stress and anxiety to make the process smoother and easier for everyone involved in the process, whether it's the AM, the other buyer agent, or the client, or the buyer, or whoever it is. Everybody. You want to be the local resource. Don't ever put on your application that you cover, like I'm in California. I'm not going to say I cover all of California, or I'm not even going to say I cover all of Southern California. I'm in Orange County. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm in Irvine, right? And if I say my company covers all of Southern California, well, you know what? Orange County itself has a radius of about 56 miles. It's a 56, I think, mile radius of a county, okay? So, and which has different parts. It's got beaches, it's got inland, and it's got in between, and it's got high end, and it's got low end, okay? Not much low end, but it's mostly high end. So, you cannot tell me that me in Irvine can cover LA as well, when LA is 45 miles north of me. On an off-peak day, and there are certain times that I know when it's off-peak, it takes me 45 minutes to get to LA. But 30 minutes to get to downtown. But if I am in peak hours, which is most part of the day, it'll take me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there. So I'm not going to say that I can cover LA area as well. There's no way. Unless you have satellite offices in those areas, don't say you cover those areas because it's not possible. Be local. Be a local resource. That's going to take you much further than saying you cover 3 counties around you. It doesn't work like that. All right. So now what? Now is the exciting part. Now you know that you have all this information, and what do you need to do? Well, you need to create a winning marketing proposal and resume. You have to prepare for the upcoming changes that'll happen. Otherwise, you'll achieve the same results you did before. Don't wait until the last minute to put together a winning HUD REO proposal and resume. I urge you, I've seen this happen so many times. People have waited till the last minute. Opportunity has passed them. The window period of an asset management opening up their network is very limited. Usually it's between 5 and 7 days, and you have to submit during that time. You don't want to allow technology or anything stopping you the last minute. Your email didn't get through, your internet stopped working, you got an appointment, whatever. You don't want to ever do that. Be prepared. and putting together your application package is not an easy task. You need to know what's all involved. Okay, so right now you're sitting at your computer watching this webinar. You've heard me go through the overview of the HUD 3.75 and 3.9 contracts. You've heard me go through the areas that'll be affected. You've heard me go through the marketing guidelines for HUD. You've heard me go through the 5 primary objectives for HUD and their AMs, and the 6 factors that asset managers look for in their LLBs. You know that you don't have too much time to get ready for this next opportunity. So if you are if someone that's really serious about the upcoming HUD REO opportunity, you may be wondering, how in the world am I going to put together a winning proposal? Or how could I use this information shown to me today in a step-by-step and easy way? Or you've just tried being tired of being one of the best realtors in the local market area, but were never given an opportunity to become a HUD listing agent. I know you're frustrated. Trust me, I do. And I want to help because I get a lot of agents asking me to help them with great demand, because I've been asked a lot to help with their putting together their proposals and resumes. I've decided to launch an online video course that gives me leverage to open up myself to more people, my experience, my knowledge, past decade working with HUD contracts, all that stuff, and put together a course that's called Formula for a Winning HUD REO Proposal. This is my video course that I've created. It's a 6-module video course on creating a HUD REO marketing proposal and resume, along with my tips and strategies, where I break down in detail each section of the proposal and resume step by step. This course is designed to give you everything you need to create your HUD REO proposal and resume. So if you want to have the opportunity to learn from me, the HUD expert that has reviewed over 5,000 applications and proposals through 3 different HUD AM contracts, trained over 10,000 real estate agents across the country, set up a broker network of over 700 listing agents across 16 states in the US, then this program is specifically for you. So here's how I've done it. I've created these modules. Module 1 is the value offer. 2 is your website. 3 is your BPOs. 4 is your application. 5 is your resume. And 6 is your marketing proposal. And I want to go through each one of them to let you know what's included in them. Module 1, you'll discover what your value proposition is and different examples of a value proposition. In Module 2, you'll discover what to look out for on your website so that it matches your proposal. This is important because trust me when I tell you, when I was reading and going through all of these applicants, all these proposals, the first thing I did was Google their name and go to their website to figure out what they're doing on their website. Is it matching what they're saying on their proposal? It's important. So I go through that website and let you know what you need to do with that. Module 3, you'll discover do's and don'ts of BPOs and what to look out for when you're creating them. In Module 4, you'll discover things to look out for in the application process and how to prepare for it. Remember, every asset management company is going to be different. Some have their own thorough application. I know BLB Resources had an application that took you an hour and a half to complete, and it was very detailed. Okay, some asset managers may just require a REO proposal and a resume. Some may just require a resume, or some may require all of the above. So I'm going to go through this module talking to you about what to expect in the application part of a HUD asset manager and what they're looking for and what you want to look out for when you're putting it together. In Module 5, you'll discover in detail, step by step, how to format your resume and what to put in each section of the resume, which is really getting into the nuts and bolts of this whole program. And Module 6 is the whole meat of the whole thing. I mean, you'll discover in detail, step by step, how to format your marketing proposal and what to put into each section of the proposal. So here's what I want to do now. If you implement everything I just showed you, you would probably be able to put together a general proposal. But the question is it an extraordinary and captivating proposal? To increase your chances of winning the HUD LLB contract, you need to invest in my step-by-step formula for a winning HUD REO proposal course today. Time to invest in yourself. My strategies will increase your chances of getting your proposal noticed and considered. I've had clients pay me thousands of dollars for consulting sessions on putting together their HUD packages, okay, and REO packages in general. I set the initial price point at $997, considering the generous detailed information I provide in my step-by-step course. After some thought, I settled on $697. But the day before my launch date, I wanted to make your decision a no-brainer. I wanted to make it easily accessible or easier to access by the masses, okay? Because I know this has a lot of value. So with that being said, you can get all my strategies and information for a one-time investment of $347 by going to reoproposal.com. Visit reoproposal.com and you can get my course, my whole video course, all the modules for $347 a one-time payment. And in addition, I like to offer value. So there's more. When you claim your spot today in this webinar on my video course and invest in that video course and invest in yourself, I will give you an additional 4 bonuses that are valued easily over $1,000. Bonus 1 is a video on important tasks of a HUD REO agent. I'll reveal the exact tasks of a HUD listing agent, especially the ones that affect the scorecard. This will help you use the HUD content that you learn and the verbiage to put it in parts of your proposal. Bonus video number 2 is marketing HUD homes and your brand on Instagram. Instagram is one of the quickest growing social media platforms out there. Here you'll learn the tips on marketing HUD homes on Instagram, setting up your bio, what and when to post, and more. Bonus video 3, you'll get the video on the online marketing platform that I use to market HUD homes effectively. I will reveal this platform in which you can market HUD homes by creating landing pages, single property sites, posting on Craigslist, Facebook ads, YouTube, virtual tours, and more, all by entering an FHA case number, and it feeds everything for that property there. This will make you look like a marketing pro. I use this particular platform myself. It's not something that I've just done research on. I use it in my business, and I market my properties, and it makes me look like a marketing pro, especially when I'm going to present as a listing proposal to some client of mine. Okay, so you can use it in anywhere. Bonus number 4, I'll give you access to my black book of REO asset managers' contact information so that you can create relationships with them. This is priceless right there, and really this is just about networking with them. You want to approach them in a way that you're going to be resourceful, not asking for the business all of a sudden. First time they've heard from you, you're asking them for business. It doesn't work like that. You want to create a relationship with these asset managers. Okay. In addition to all this, you get 2 review videos, what I discussed today, the 6 factors that AMs look for, and the 5 primary objectives that HUD looks for in their AMs. These are going to be all in a separate 2 videos that I've created specifically as review videos, because it's important to use that as a part of your content in your proposal. So my promotional price of $347 for my course and bonuses will only be available for the next couple of weeks. After that, the price will go up to $997, which was my original price that I was going to come out with this. So visit reoproposal.com. Quick recap, you get the 6-module video course, you get my 2 review videos that I mentioned, you get my bonus video on important tasks of a HUD REO agent, which is very important. You get my bonus video on marketing HUD homes and your brand on Instagram, which is very lucrative. You'll get my bonus video on the online marketing platform to market HUD homes effectively. And you get my exclusive REO Asset Manager Black Book. In closing, you know that this is an amazing value. Take advantage of this incredible opportunity and discount while you can, plus all of the amazing bonuses that are involved in this. So with that said, I'm going to go to my question and answer panel and my chat panel to see if anybody has any questions, which I know there's already quite a few questions up there, and I see some chatting going up here, up and down here. So I'm going to go through these. What you see on your screen is reoproposal.com. That's the website to sign up for my course, and my email and direct line to my company if you have any questions or need help with anything. So let's get to the questions here. All right. The first question is, let's see. I'm getting well, this isn't a question. It's actually a comment. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. They're commenting that they just signed up for my course and they're thanking me. Thank you. I appreciate you being on. Let me move on to the other ones. It says, so to advertise HUD homes, we don't need a broker reciprocity agreement. Where can we find in writing all of the do's and don'ts when advertising? I didn't capture all of them. Okay, well, you don't need a broker agreement to market any HUD home listing, okay? With HUD homes, you're able to market any HUD homes without the permission of the listing agent. But remember the guidelines that I mentioned, that you do have to follow regulations, certain local regulations. So if your MLS, your local MLS may require you to still get a permission for marketing somebody's home, then you may have to do that. And then you would just send an email to that asset man or to that listing agent and just say, per HUD's guidelines, I realize I know that I can market HUD homes, but I need your permission in writing because MLS requires it, not because HUD requires it. So you want to make that clear to them, and then they would or should give you, send you an email with that in writing. But you don't even need that unless your MLS is requiring that. You don't need that. And the guidelines are in this video, and because you stayed all the way to the end, you're going to get a copy of this recording of this video that has all the guidelines in there. So it will be sent to you. Okay, let's move on to another question. It says, when did you say the listing broker applications will likely be due for my state? Well, I'm not too sure what state you're in, but in all of the states, we won't know when the open period for LLB applications is due until HUD awards the contracts. And part of my program, here's another thing that I did not mention. For those that invest in my program, I take it that if they're investing in this video course, they're investing in themselves and they want to get better. So what I do is I call you all that invest in my course my inner circle. I have a portal in the back end that I will be communicating through my inner circle, letting you know who the awardees are once it's announced. Okay, whenever I hear of them, I will create an update in the portal letting you know this, so that way you know exactly who the awardee is to start that relationship with that company. We just don't know yet because it's not awarded yet. Okay. Another question. How do we learn which AM is awarded in our state? Yeah, so that's the same question. How do we learn which AM is awarded in our state? I just mentioned that. Here's another one. It says, we just saw BLB coming into New Jersey to replace Sage. Are we expecting an AM change before May, which is the deadline? Well, that's the thing. The AM will be announced before May, for sure. I mean, I'm really contemplating that the AM will be announced this year because they have to. In order for the AM to get ready for getting their all ducks in a row and getting their company started with, whatever that they need, their personnel, setting up their listing agent broker network, their application portal, all that, they need to make sure that they have some leeway, some time before the transition starts with a new contract. So you'll definitely hear before them. Okay, so that's why it's really important to understand and know that you don't have too much time. You really got to get working on this, especially if you want to make sure that your work, you put the right stuff in your proposal. Another question is, what are the differences between 3.75 and 3.9 AM contracts? I think I answered that. That's mainly, the main difference is the states and then the time frames. 3.75 is about a 2.5-year contract. 3.9 is technically a 5-year contract. But both of these contracts have 12-month option periods where they're renewed. So it can happen where it could be much shorter or it can last the whole 5 years. We just don't know until that happens. So, does HUD look to award to women-owned brokers? Okay, well, one thing you want to understand there, HUD is not the one that awards these listing contracts to the listing agents. It's the AM that gets awarded from HUD, the contract award. They're the ones that set up the network, and they're the ones that are responsible to put together their listing agent network. HUD has nothing to do with that part. Okay, now, do the asset managers look for women-owned brokers? Well, they look for diversity, because not all that, it's not the end-all say-all. So for example, you know, just because you're a woman-owned company does not mean that you have a much better advantage than anybody else. It just means that you have a compensating factor, that you may be considered if there's a very close competition between two brokers in your local area and you're a woman-owned and they're not, or you have a socioeconomic status and they don't, and you're identical in experience and everything, you may have the edge there. So HUD does not put a requirement on its AMs to have certain percentages of diversity. It just recommends that there's diversity in their listing agents. And, you know, so keep that in mind. Another question says, will this be helpful for me sending this proposal after taking your course to different asset managers? Absolutely. This asset manager course that I've done here, this video course on putting together your proposal for your HUD REO, the reason I say HUD REO, because the content and the niche that my experience has been with HUD, but the overall flow and what to put in your contract and the way your way your proposal and resume should be structured is absolutely the same to any other company. You just have to change your content to make it relevant to whoever it is that you're submitting this proposal to. So absolutely. You know, one thing I tell you guys, this course not only will help you put together a great proposal, one of the best proposals that you can put together, it'll actually make you a better agent. I guarantee that. It'll make you a better agent because it will teach you a lot of things of how to put this proposal together, what to look out for in your business, and all that kind of stuff. So especially with the marketing part. So I know that for a fact. Nothing else is guaranteed. We don't guarantee. There's no guarantees in life. We can walk outside and get hit by a car, God forbid. You don't know what happens. But at least we can put our best foot forward and do our best and see what happens. You know, that's pretty much the bottom line of how it is. Let's see what we have. Another question. When we sign up with you, can we send you our proposal to review comments? Okay. The question is, when we sign up with you on this course, can we send you our proposal to review or comment? All right. So here's the thing. Another question that was asked previously, it says, which is related to this, so I'm going to answer that. It says, do I have to buy anything else besides this course to put together my proposal? So is there anything else that I have to buy after I buy this? Absolutely not. This course is complete. It's got everything you need to put your proposal together, okay? You can put a great, excellent, dynamic proposal with what you're going to learn in my videos and my course, okay? Now, when it comes to reviewing, if you want me to review your proposal after you've taken my course and put together the proposal, I do consulting, and I've done that many years now as far as consulting to agents on putting their proposal together. So if you want me to review, that's going to be an additional cost as a one-on-one, because I'm going to be reviewing your proposal one-on-one. It takes time for me to read it. It takes time for me to review it, and you know, there's going to be a cost factor involved to that. But we can discuss that once you do get your proposal put together, and then discuss that further detail of how we do it. But usually what I do, it's a monthly thing. You can do it for 1 month period, which my review is only 1 month. You don't do any more than that. You don't have to do any more than that. Unless you decide to use my coaching or consulting beyond that, that's a different story. But for reviewing your proposal, I will consult with you on a 1 month period where we meet twice, one-on-one via online media or conference call or a phone, to go through the whole proposal in detail, and I'll let you know what you need to add, subtract, remove, or change in the proposal. And then I give you 2 weeks after our first call. So our second call or video happens after 2 weeks, because I want to hold you accountable to actually making those changes. A lot of times, you know, I'll do these. I did it before. You know, people have paid me money to review their proposal, and I've done it. And, you know, they have to do the other part of it to actually make the changes, and they don't make them. So I learned that I need to hold these agents accountable. So I do hold you accountable. That give you 2 weeks. The second time we talk, I'm going to finalize your review and let you know, okay, this is all good to go, we're done. Now, if you wanted to go beyond that, we can go beyond that and discuss that. But that's a different pay structure. The $347 only is access to my course and all my videos and content. And if you have general questions, I can definitely help you with that. And like I said, I provide updates. This whole course is accessible via an online portal that I've created. It has all my videos, content, and products. I mean, the documents, everything is there. And within my portal on the welcome screen, there's a tab that's called HUD Updates. So as I get updates during the time, I will create videos or content that will update you of anything that's relevant to the contracts that I need to update you on. Okay, for example, I launched my video course about 2 weeks ago. I already have an update that I updated my inner circle with because there was a change. Okay, so that's definitely stuff that I will be doing as I get more information. In addition, I'll be announcing the awards once I receive access to knowing who the awardees are. So that's pretty much what you'll see and get as far as that. But if you really want me to review, that's a different package. That's something that it's a one-on-one consultation afterwards. Okay. Let's see. Another question says, how can I find out which asset management companies are in the running? Well, you technically can't. HUD does not disclose that information. Unless you're one of the bidders bidding on the HUD contract, then you will get a letter if you were, you know, unfortunately denied, you know, your application was denied, or you know, did not meet the qualifications. They'll let the asset management company know, and then if you're a finalist, they'll let the bidders know who the finalists are. But that information is not outside. There's what's called the an interest list, which I have access to, but that is only companies that are interested in the bidding of the asset management contracts. It's not necessarily stating that they actually bid on them. So it's you know, it's not going to be your best list to be, you know, looking at. All right. What other questions? Let me see. How is the course delivered after I make my investment? Okay. I just mentioned that. I think I answered that question. I have a back-end portal that has all my videos and all the documents. Everything is all in there. And my updates that I communicate with my inner circle are all there as well. And they're going to be there. And that's where we're going to announce. Let's see. All the other stuff that I see are comments, and I thank you all that have invested. There's quite a few of you that said they signed up. I appreciate that. Like I said, I know that this course will just make you a better agent in anything that you do. And I, for one, myself, on a personal note, I always love to give, and I love to create more value. I love to add more value, and that's why I added these bonuses in there to give you more. And that's really how I live my life. One thing I learned is that we're all here temporarily. Each one of us is going to leave. We're not going to be living on this earth forever. So it's really about, you can't take anything with you. You're not going to take any money with you, any cars, any houses, any boats, investments, nothing. All that's going to be left behind. The only thing that you can leave to your loved ones and your coworkers, your associates, your clients is your legacy. You want to make sure that you create a legacy that will never be forgotten. That's the main goal in your life. That's the main goal in my life. That's how I live my life, and that's why I like to always add more value than anything else, because I know that it helps in general, and it comes back to me again tenfold. So with that said, I don't think I see any more questions. Again, the link is in your chat box if you want to go ahead and sign up. For those of you that still haven't, reoproposal.com. I thank each and every one of you for attending my webinar. I know you could have been doing something else in your life within this past hour, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you very much. That's my phone number. That's my email. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or need help with anything. Have a wonderful day. Take care, folks, and I wish you all great success. Thank you.